Hey guys, my name's Nova, this is Film Express, and I'm so happy to be back today to be finally talking about the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City. And guys, I just want to take a second to apologize for taking a few weeks off. It's just been super busy and I've had time to watch some movies, but I haven't had time to come home and record a video and edit them and do all that. So now I'm taking my chance to kind of bounce back and to catch up on a lot of reviews that I've missed doing. So you might be seeing a lot of me in the next couple of weeks, but here we go. I was anticipating Wes Anderson's new movie, Asteroid City, for months and months, ever since I saw the first trailer, ever since I saw the first promotional pictures, and even the cast was revealed. I knew we were going to be in for a treat. It seems like in the past couple of years, it seems to be the cool, hip, trendy thing to hate on Wes Anderson and his movies, but I personally am so confused and puzzled by this. I think he's one of the best filmmakers working currently. Watching all of his movies, there might be only one or two that I didn't absolutely love. I've rated a lot of his films 5 stars. Really do think Wes Anderson makes some phenomenal movies, and guys, Asteroid City to me is no different. It's like we're in the presence of an auteur who has a distinct style, a distinct voice, and a distinct signature trademark visual aesthetic, and people still find ways to have problems with this. To me, that's so mind-boggling, and if I can compare it to anything, it's almost like comparing it to hating on the Beatles at this point. You know, the Beatles are the type of band, you hear a song from the Beatles, you know it's them. From their voice to their sound, their style, it's the ingredients you would expect from a Beatles song. Some may argue that the Beatles are almost like a entry-level rock band. You know, it's like you just discovered music, so you're getting into the Beatles. That's kind of inarguable in a way. Sure, they're very popular in that sense, so they're gonna be one of the first bands you hear of. But their contributions, their importance, their influence in the history of music cannot be denied, and I truly feel the same about Wes Anderson's films. Wes Anderson's films have a distinct style, a distinct voice, and they're a very distinct, quirky, charming experience every single time. And again, people call it hipster, I call it very charming. A lot of people may argue that his films are basically like entry-level cinephilia. You know, you just discovered movies, you're starting to get into discovering better filmmakers and better films out there, so you start liking Wes Anderson films. And sure, I can't really fully argue that. He's basically that entry level into the love of film, you know, and sure, but I also can't deny what he does so exceptionally well. His films are so well crafted that the audience is constantly winning. And for me, you know, even his past film, The French Dispatch last year, it got a lot of mixed reviews. I knew a lot of people who did not find a lot of value in that film. Personally, for me, one of my favorites of the year. It ended up being a film that I truly admire, and I really appreciate the big swing that Wes Anderson is making here. And in my opinion, I think Asteroid City might be his biggest absolute swing. You know what's crazy to me? I think Asteroid City is basically the movie Nope, directed by Jordan Peele, but actually made for people who like good movies and good scripts and good, well thought out, thought-provoking themes. To me, this is Nope for people who have taste. And you know, that's a bit of a hot take, it's a bit of a controversial statement, but I think Nope completely missed the mark in terms of everything it tried to do in its screenplay. And so when I see Asteroid City coming in and Wes Anderson absolutely showing insane focus in every single scene and every single bit of dialogue really relates back to his themes, to me, I just have to applaud the man, because he is showing that he is one of the best writers and directors in the industry right now. A lot of people have argued that the script here is the weakest link of the film, but I truly have to beg to differ. I found so much of value here. Not only did I find the characters amazing, the themes and the ideas to be super relatable, but I actually found this to be an incredibly hilarious script. I found some incredibly interesting commentaries about the challenges of limited technological progress when we're faced with the answers to some of the world's greatest, largest mysteries. We have a lot of meta ideas here. The script is super metatextual in the sense that Wes Anderson's really focused on the power of stories, and he was as well with The French Dispatch, but here it's more refined and more honed in. It's really about the delusional narratives and the stories we create in order to make sense of the lack of control that we have in this world. It's about those stories that we create to help ourselves cope. And the whole film, I think, is about coping. It's about coping with loss. It's about coping with new information, coping with changes. We're coping with the irrationality of human emotion. And the film spends so much time focusing on technology, technological progress, But all those moments where you're talking about technology, it's kind of contrasted with how irrational humans can be and how human emotion can get in the way of progress. I don't really want to spoil too much about this film. This film takes some really interesting turns, but by the time the halfway point hits, you're watching something that's very much unlike anything you've seen in a very long time. In my opinion, this is Wes Anderson at his most existential, his most self-critical, but it's also him at his most selfless. A lot of people have called him a narcissist, and a lot of people have called him self-indulgent. In my opinion, this is him at his most honest, and there's a moment at the end of the film where you see a poster in the background that says something along the lines of the death of the narcissist. And in my opinion, I really think that that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing a person who has faced all these criticisms for years and years, especially with his last film, The French Dispatch, which was his biggest film. He faced so much criticisms, only to take all those criticisms to heart and bounce back here with something that's way more personal, way more relatable, and way more narrative driven than The French Dispatch was. The best way I can put it, it's like the curtain has been finally pulled back, and we are finally invited by Wes Anderson himself to understand not only his signature Wes Anderson 180-degree tableau style for what they are, but we're invited to understand what they mean to Wes Anderson as a means to relay his themes, his pains, his ideas, and how he uses his style to elevate his narratives. The film kind of takes a three-pronged approach at that. Like it's like a play, the play within the play, and the meta kind of ideas surrounding the creation of the play. And in all those moments, it's like we're really just getting a glimpse into the process of making stories and making those stories personable and relatable to not only the creators, but to the audience. And I think that's absolutely powerful and one of the best themes of the year. There's a really interesting quote I found on a Collider review that I really found fascinating and found that it really nailed the ideas of this film. So I'm just going to read it out to you guys. Do with that what you will, okay? You can try and establish order in your life. You can build a little town in a vast arid desert. You can take pictures of things to make them less real. You can stick to your lesson plan about the solar system after experiencing an alien encounter. You can even become a world-famous director renowned for your microscopic attention to detail. But you will always be faced with questions you can't answer and truths you can't swallow. You will always show a mechanic something he's never seen before. You will never find an easy solution to grief or trauma. You will never be 100% certain you are where you ought to be, that you can't wake up or experience something like serenity if you don't fall asleep. If you don't accept what you can't control and make peace with the unknown. It doesn't matter, just keep telling the story. You're doing great. And that's a quote directly from the film. What's super interesting to me about this quote is that it really nails everything this film is presenting to you. It's a lot of these people trying to cope with various uncertainties in their lives or moments of grief or pain or trauma. And I feel like Anderson has really kind of focused his attention to what it means to have grief and to have loss and to have, these huge mysteries unfold in front of you. At the base level of it all, we're all just humans trying to understand, and I think Asteroid City really nails that theme. If I have to be super critical, like there were a little bit of issues with some pacing and some scenes that, they drag on, they overstay their welcome, but I never found them to be wasteful. It's not like I was ever having my time wasted on screen. There was nothing on screen that was pointless. There was always a reason for what you're watching, even if some of the scenes kind of play out in a very slow way. On the other hand, you have so many scenes that are so jam-packed with jokes, like joke per minute is through the roof. I was laughing so hard in this movie. Like it's one of the best experiences I've had this year in a theater, for sure. And I see a lot of people kind of criticizing the film for keeping the audience at a distance. You don't really get to relate really deeply to certain characters, and everything's very kind of far away. So a lot of these super emotional moments, you're kind of just watching them from a little bit of a distance. I think that is kind of Wes Anderson's style. He really goes for like an anti-empathy style. He doesn't try to manipulate the viewers. He really just tries to present you the emotions and present the characters going through these things without trying to force feed you what you're supposed to feel in those scenes. And that to me is why he's one of my favorite directors, because when I watch a Christopher Nolan movie, like he's manipulating me the whole time. And there's nothing I hate more than to be told what to feel when I watch a movie. Wes Anderson doesn't even bother. He knows that the audience is smart enough to pick up on the cues. In my opinion, this film is one of the best films of the year. At this point right now of the year in July, it's tied for number one with Blackberry. For me, those are my two favorite films of the year. quite surprised because there was a lot of other films from directors I love even more that they did not even come close to making my top 5 or my top 10. So I really love this film. I cannot recommend Asteroid City enough. If you're a fan of Wes Anderson, you're going to love everything that he does here. If you've had a rocky relationship with Wes Anderson, you might have a little bit of a hard time with this film, because most people do know at this point that Wes Anderson really wears his inspirations on his sleeve when it comes to Jean-Luc Godard or Francois Truffaut. He really has taken a lot of inspirations from the French New Wave. Now, in this film, in Asteroid City, the last 20 minutes of Asteroid City are the closest thing you can get to that same level of kind of deconstruction and experimentation that we've come to expect from filmmakers like Godard and Truffaut. This is Wes Anderson at his most experimental. He's toying with his structure, his medium, his style in ways that we've never seen before in order to achieve something that honestly left me speechless. In the last 20 minutes, there are 2 or 3 scenes back to back that are among the best scenes Wes Anderson has ever written or directed. And to me, I was just in pure awe. I'm in sheer awe of everything that was achieved with this film. One of my favorite films of the year. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Like, this is undoubtedly in Wes Anderson's top 3 or top 5 films, in my opinion. So I really am so curious to know what you guys think. Did you guys see Asteroid City yet? Did you like it? Do you think I'm being a little bit too easy on this film and it really deserves to be criticized more? Because it seems like a lot of people are super critical of it. So guys, please like, please subscribe, and please jot some notes down in the comments. Let's talk about this movie. Let's have a discussion, because I really do think Asteroid City is going to age extremely well. So guys, that's my review of Wes Anderson's new movie, Asteroid City, the festival darling and one of the summer's best films. Guys, my name's Nova. This is Film Express, and it was my absolute pleasure to talk about this movie. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.